Hello and welcome to A Star to Steer Her By. Wow.
That you got the name right, yay!
I
Sound clown.
I just kind of blanked there.
Are you Jake?
I don't know. This is Chris, and today I'm joined by...
Oh God, I'm too early as always.
You always come too soon, Ames.
I usually do. We're those premature ejaculators again.
Whoa.
This is Ames.
This is Caitlin.
And this is always Jake. Thanks for listening.
Be sure to tip your yeoman.
This is episode 101.
Woo!
And today we will be looking at Identity Crisis and the Nth Degree. That's appropriate because in Identity Crisis, a bunch of Starfleet people turn into rave apes.
Oh, I like them. They
Or
look
rapes
awesome.
for short.
No.
No, God, no. No.
Is there a Brett Kavanaugh in the house?
Oh my.
Jesus Christ.
Has nothing to do with it.
Anybody. So yeah, Susanna Lighton, whose name is not spelled like you would think.
Oh, Susanna.
It's spelled differently in different places I've read it, too.
Really interesting.
Yeah, the J moves around.
I thought it was Leiten.
Nope, there's a J in there for some reason.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's different. That's fine. I accept that.
Anywho,
It seems Swedish or something.
Susanna Lighton, who
Swedish.
was on the USS Victory with Geordie LaForge, shows up to be all, so a bunch of people that were on this away mission have begun disappearing, and Geordie and I are the only two left. So they head to the planet Torchanin 3, which is the planet where...
Canon, I think?
Oh yeah, Tarkanin 3, good call.
D'Artagnan?
Yes.
Okay.
Porthos.
Yes. No, this is an Enterprise. Tarkanin 3, where the away team was and where it turns out people have been fleeing to, and short version is the rave apes have the world's dumbest form of reproduction.
True.
They infect you with their seed, which lies dormant for apparently 5 years, and then you feel the call to return home and mutate into a rave ape.
And or spawn.
And,
Like salmon.
it's too late to save any of the extras, except for Susanna, and then they save Geordie. There's a slow, torturous thing as they figure out what this obvious plot is going to be. It wasn't very
Oh,
good.
you don't seem to have liked this episode.
No, I hated it.
I
Oh, I
liked
liked
it.
it.
I actually didn't hate it. I thought it was pretty good, too. You're
Also,
alone on this one this week, bud.
As should be obvious by now, nominated for an Emmy in makeup,
Yeah,
because
that's
makeup
fair.
looked really
The
great.
makeup was good, I'll give them that.
It took me a minute to, realize that they had creepy contacts in. At first I thought they were doing something weird with the lighting, and then when she, actually looked over at Geordie, it became clear that they were wearing these contacts, and I was like, ooh.
I
Actually,
think they actually used some kind of chemical... Because I noticed when she closed her eyes, you could see there was a drop of the fluorescent dye on her cheek.
No.
maybe
Like,
it wasn't
like-
a dye, maybe it was just something that reacted to the... Maybe it was sort of a liquid version of whatever horrible thing they did to the poor bastard that played Gary Mitchell.
Maybe. I think
Aluminum
maybe they
foil?
put a black contact, like a black cat eye contact in.
Yeah.
And then put the glowy chemical in there to make it...
No, I didn't
light up.
see reference, so...
In the Nth Degree, we sort of get flowers for Algernon,
Yeah.
but with Reg Barclay.
Woo!
He gets zip-zap-zopped by a space probe, and it starts to make him super smart. He essentially takes over the Enterprise computer, and then does some jiggery-pokery with subspace, and suddenly they're talking to a giant floating head,
Yeah.
and it turns out basically the head is from a race of the universe's laziest explorers.
Highest explorers.
Yes,
But go on.
yeah, that's true. Who, rather than go out into space, just send people the knowledge to make super crazy engines to come visit them. There's a knowledge exchange, they go back home. Reg returns mostly to normal, but he's good at chess now.
Really good at chess.
Yes. And
He
possibly fucking,
Yeah.
but only Deanna knows for sure.
Checkmate in 8 moves.
That's the problem is, the other person would have to know what the 8 moves are.
That's true. I would love to see this, the other guy's like, fuck, the other was like, wait, what?
Come back!
Well, he didn't say mate for who. He could have just moved that person's piece so they would lose.
You raise a good point.
Awesome.
I like that idea.
That was the most succinct
That was very quick.
summary we've ever had
We
ever.
haven't even been recording for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
God damn.
So, I will say, actually, back to the makeup in Identity Crisis.
Yeah.
The, phases Lighton went through looked great. The final form looked kind of goofy.
I really liked the final
No, I
form.
thought it was all good.
I thought it looked
personally,
really cool. It was the costumes and face were painted with ultraviolet effects, and apparently it was the longest makeup job on The Next Generation, with 6 hours of painting LeVar Burton.
Ooh, that poor bastard.
They did. But what's interesting though is that it appeared to me that he was wearing like a bodysuit when he was in full.
That's what it looked
Yeah, I thought
like.
so,
yeah.
too.
They
Is that
wouldn't
not
have to
the
paint.
case?
I'm pretty sure he was. I'm sure.
They probably painted the suit too, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't have had to do that in the makeup chair. They could do that in advance, I imagine. Just touch it up.
Well, they also had to do the face shape and everything, so they had to do
Yeah,
that.
So the prosthetics, and then like when he
The
had like the weird
hand.
veins and shit. Yeah, I actually kind of liked the build up in this episode, but I feel like it kind of totally subverted that. So like there's this whole sense throughout the episode where he's doing this investigation, and there's this great. I thought it was a really cool scene, and I really liked how they didn't pull any CSI bullshit.
You're talking about the scene in the holodeck?
The scene in the holodeck.
Oh, that was creepy.
Where he's like, can you show me where this person would have been standing, or where where the shadow came from? And the computer was actually like, well, I can't see that, so you're gonna have to give me more data. And then he's like,
I don't know. The computer figured out what Utah would have looked like in that photo.
That's true, but in this
Fucking
case,
Utah.
I think whoever wrote this episode did a good job of making the computer forensics logical and make sense with what the technology. Like, it's not even a holographic video. It's just like a video that he's watching, and the computer has to interpolate the 3D environment.
Yeah, I will grant that sequence was really good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when he was like, so the whole conceit was that, he was looking at this video and he says, wait a minute, there's a shadow there that doesn't make sense. So he builds the scene in the holodeck, and then he knows where the light source was. So he asked the computer, like, show me where the figure that generated the shadow would have been standing if that figure was in the scene. And the computer's like, I don't have enough data. Because as soon as he said that, I'm like, oh, yeah, of course.
It's going to perfectly recreate.
Yeah, and then when the computer's like, and then when he's like, well, assume the thing is as tall as I am. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's the missing piece of data you would need to generate a shadow extrapolate where the shadow is standing.
Yeah, and it made this creepy gray blob out of a horror movie.
Yeah. But again, like you said, you're just like, all right, here's roughly the shape it would have been. This is what you got.
Yeah. When Geordi himself was gone, and like the security team had to go in knowing Geordi could be invisible in there somewhere, and they enter and all they can see is.
But did they realize by then that he probably would be invisible?
Yeah.
Oh, because the sensors couldn't find him.
Yeah.
Well, and that they also knew that
that's
Leighton
Leighton was kind of doing.
had like weird,
Mimic.
Yeah.
Mimetic.
something like that.
mnemonic.
Mime with a tick at the end.
Yeah, and
Mimetic.
Worf and them walk in, and they can just see the outline of what was it, Breville?
Yeah, the
Breville.
cameraman.
The camera guy, and
Or
then
Breville. It was Breville.
Breville, and then this weird fucking grayish blob shape, and they're like, Geordi's in here somewhere, and there's this blob,
Geordi?
and it's
Geordi?
lit like Scream.
Leah.
Ooh, creepy blob. Creepy blob. Nice house.
Good tea.
But yeah, I don't know. But then again, so they did this whole sequence, which I thought was really cool, and then he transforms, and then nothing ever becomes of any of that research he did, because by then Leighton had woken up after Leighton had woken up after Crusher treated her, and she's like, I know everything now.
Yeah, what? It's like, so it doesn't just turn you into one of them, it also like gives you
insight.
Yeah, like what?
Well, I don't
She
know.
was
They
turning
reused,
into one of them, so why wouldn't she have that insight?
and also they reused that later in First Contact a little bit. So for me, at least, it didn't feel like it was that.
With the Borgs?
Yeah.
Well, but the thing is, you don't get the impression these creatures are intelligent.
Then they come right out and say they operate on instinct only.
Oh, that's right. So, I mean, the fact that you turn into this just thing of pure id, but you also know all this stuff, it's like, no. You either turn into a creature of pure id, or you just turn into a different intelligent race. You can't have it both ways. Mm-hmm. It was just lazy writing, basically.
Wow.
There were a couple of things that happened in the episode that I was like, this is kind of silly. So, like, for the first one I really picked up on was when they went to the holodeck to find Geordi. Riker's like, all right, search the building. And I'm like, just say computer and program. Like,
Oh, that's a good
yeah.
point. I didn't even think of that.
Why are we searching the holographic structure?
I thought that, but then I was like, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to still make us think that if you turn off a program when people are in there, it'll kill them or whatever. But yes, that did seem silly.
Banned programs all the time.
That's true. Oh yeah, it's just they turn it off or something. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And then the other thing I was like, when they beamed out to the planet, Leighton was
Susanna.
Oh, Susanna, don't you die on me.
She was like, turn off your lights. They're frightened of light. And it's like, yeah, but they also cast shadows. So maybe having lights would help us find them.
Maybe she was trying to trick them.
Maybe.
Also, they clearly ran short by about a minute and a half because they had to have that pointless scene of Data making a UV light thing. It's like, you don't already have a pre-made one lying around. You're scientists.
Or just have the replicator make it.
It's not
like it's a complicated piece of equipment.
That was clearly just, we're short by 2 minutes, and they don't want to tack on another commercial. Also, that, what the hell kind of reproduction system is that? How does that evolve?
They're like viruses.
Well, yeah, but if you don't have fresh stock coming from the stars, how does that work?
Yeah, and it also it's a 1-to-1. I would imagine.
Stock.
You can't.
You think?
Well, maybe not. I guess you could impregnate multiple.
Are they like
multiple
spores?
hosts.
Maybe they're they release spores or something.
Maybe it's like
Maybe
the
one
adipose-
guy got all four of
Maybe
five
they
of those
just
people.
walk up to you when they're in their invisible form and jerk off into your mouth.
Well, that's
Nice.
definitely what they do. I mean, I don't even know why that's a question.
Did anybody get a salty taste in their mouth?
Oh,
Out
no.
of nowhere?
But yeah, no, the system of reproduction doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I wondered the point of the original people from the away team returning to the thing so that they can live on the planet and do the thing. Why aren't they also spreading reproductive?
Well, they probably
thing
are.
amongst the rest of their crew?
They probably would want. Oh, you mean like why
Why
doing
go
that on
back
purpose?
to Tarkanan instead of spread their seed amongst their ship?
Because they're like salmon and they have to go back upstream to breed. Maybe
Salmon are fucking idiots.
Well, yeah, they're
Delicious
fish.
fucking idiots.
Delicious
But,
fucking.
no,
idiots.
I mean, they're also driven entirely by instinct. So
Yeah.
they're
Yeah, but instinct is 90% of instinct is stay alive and create the next generation.
well.
Ah.
But I mean, that's how life works on Earth. That doesn't necessarily hold for.
So do we think these
everybody in
creatures,
space.
when they get to Tarkanan, are just very long-lived? Otherwise, they die out immediately.
maybe
Because
they are.
how often are people visiting Tarkanan?
Well, that's what I still don't get. Before people were visiting, how does this work?
Very carefully.
Maybe here's a hypothesis with absolutely no corroboration.
They're also the Cytherians and get people to come to them.
Maybe they
Ah. Could be.
are. Maybe they're not a species really at all. Maybe it's just a virus, and it's something that just it lives on Tarkanan. And if you go to Tarkanan and you contract this virus, it changes your DNA to match the virus's DNA.
That makes a little more sense.
It's not necessarily like a species trying to reproduce itself. It's more like a virus trying to infect people.
Yeah, or at
Could
least
be.
maybe it's a species now, but originally it was just a virus. Or
Well, yeah, we
something.
know. I mean,
maybe
all
there
we
were
know is that when they go, from the video recording, the shadow that we see is presumably one of the
ray vapes.
but one of the Federation people that they were looking to find.
Right.
Oh yeah.
When they first went there,
Yeah.
who they found the first ripped up uniform, and then the only other ones that we see are the two people that were also on the away team, Geordi and Susanna. So we don't actually have any evidence that there are any other members of the species other than the Federation.
It's true.
Well, then who got them?
Well, I'm saying that maybe
it's just a
it's not
virus.
you get got.
You got
I'm saying maybe it's just something in the environment that you contract.
That would make more sense, and I would be less annoyed by this episode if they had said that.
Would make a little bit more sense.
Alternately, maybe it's sort of like, it's one of those things where, like a bad latter-day Alien movie, there was originally a civilization on Tarkanan thousands of years ago, and they created this weapon, but it got loose on their own planet, and...
Kerplooey.
But we have neither of those things.
They also don't mention if any of the Enterprise crew get infected.
Like in theory, they have to have just checked literally everyone to be sure.
Yeah.
Since now they know what they're looking for. So.
Yeah.
That's
True.
true.
Hell, they probably had to also have the other ships and star bases checked, you know.
But I thought they weren't able to find it with their methods.
They eventually did, though, because they found the... Where was it hiding?
It was in the chest.
Thymus?
Yeah, the thymus. There we go. Which I don't actually know what that is.
I don't either. Do you know? Did you look it up?
Biology
No, I
is
didn't look it
terrible.
up. I did look up that the two other Tarkanans that we saw, Breville and Mendez, were played by two LA DJs.
Okay.
You know, you don't get to see their faces at all, but that's who they were.
Well, you know, I mean, like with the Daft Punk, they always wear the helmets. You know. Or the guy that wears the big mouse head.
That's Dead Mouse.
There we go.
Mousehead.
The thymus is a small, irregular-shaped gland at the top part of the chest, just under the breastbone and between the lungs. It is located in the area of the body called the mediastinum, part of both the lymphatic system and the endocrine system.
Oh.
And they
That
say we are
means-
not educational.
That means nothing.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So, for once, they locked down the goddamn transporters.
Oh, I was gonna say, for once, Jordy didn't
Mac on a
totally,
girl like a
totally
fucking
creep out the
creep.
woman.
Well, probably because he already tried it back in the old Victory Day.
Also, they cut that from the plot.
Well, no, that's
Wait, what?
why she wound up giving him all that romance advice, because she was like, "No, Jordy, you're being a rapist. Stop."
Wait, was that actually something cut
Yeah, originally there was going to be a romance side plot, but they decided to give Jordy a break from creeping on women.
we just keep doing this.
And also, Jordy wasn't even going to be one of the crew members who were undergoing this transfiguration.
No, that's a different
That's a
episode,
different
Ames.
episode. That's right. There would have just been two randos, so Leighton and probably another guy, when they realized let's have one of our actual characters people care about do the thing.
Wait, does
Yeah, let's
anybody
have
here
it be
care about
Jordy.
Jordy?
It's like, well, Data couldn't get infected. Fuck. Yeah, I love the, I prefer the bachelor life. It's like, yeah, what have you got to tell yourself?
That is code for something.
Yeah.
Masturbating furiously to pictures of Leah, what's her name, in the
Brahms,
holodeck.
yeah.
So they
Leaving
finally...
oil slicks on the floor in engineering.
Ugh.
Oh no.
So they finally lock down the goddamn transporter when there's potentially a flight risk.
Granted, the engineer knows how to unlock
Right,
it
that's
down.
it. They don't lock out, like, they don't remove Geordi's access or
Yeah.
whatever. You know, it's like, you know your engineer is the one of the people that's compromised. Maybe do more than the basic lockdown, you fucking idiots.
Nah.
Also, something that
Unnecessary.
like really kind of struck me with the episode too is, has nobody ever heard of the fucking buddy system? Like when they were looking,
Didn't we say this last week?
like when Susanna was on the planet and she had wandered off, Riker was like, fan out, and it's like, no, fan together, stay together, find her together, because
Well, see, Riker is descended from Fred of the Scooby Gang. So it is his instinct to tell everyone to split up.
But Shaggy and Scooby always have to stay together so they can get some snacks.
Yes.
Shaggy is who would the equivalent Scooby Gang be in Star Trek? So
Velma is Data.
okay,
Ooh, yeah. That makes sense.
Smarty Pants.
Worf is Scooby.
No.
No.
Ruh-roh.
Reg
Yeah,
Barclay
if-
is Scooby.
I say, Worf is Scooby if Scooby was
Oh, see, I thought
was
I
a
thought
very
Reg was,
angry.
Shaggy.
Ah.
Oh yeah,
It
that
also
makes sense.
works.
Yeah, no, Worf
Like Zoink Scoob.
like Zoinks.
God bless him.
What were you gonna say, Chris?
I don't know.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna look at my notes.
Sorry, I
Someone else
didn't
said
mean
something.
to. I didn't mean to throw you out. I was just having fun.
Oh no, not
I
the
apologize.
thymus. No, it's fine.
Must learn more about
Oh.
the thymus.
So here's another problem I had. I felt like Leighton Susanna
Oh,
kind of was a
Susanna.
shitty actor.
I feel like she just had a very unique voice.
Yeah, her
It was,
voice was
really
weird.
high and had some interesting inflection.
Maybe like
Sure,
I feel like
if she had
It's
been
me-
on
it's
TOS,
me,
you wouldn't
Jody.
question it.
you know, you're probably right. Like once she had to start kind of having a breakdown, I feel like she was better. But when she had to be normal, it wasn't working for me. Although she was better than that extra they had at fucking navigation or whatever.
Yithmian.
No, she was fucking gold. I will not hear a bad word about Yithmine.
Who said? I didn't say a bad word. I just said Yithmian.
Those are both good words.
Yeah, those are great words.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I did enjoy it, but yeah, I can see that there were numerous flaws.
Yeah. I was curious about the other crew members who went through the transformation before. So, your Breville and your Mendez, who successfully got their shuttlecrafts to the planet without blowing up like fucking Hickman did. Idiot.
Asshole, pull up.
But how did no one on their ships realize this thing was happening to them? Like
Maybe
Geordi,
they just didn't like them.
Like Geordi and Leighton looked down and their hands started doing this thing and they started getting this shit on their neck. And that was well before they had this, I must run to the planet.
No.
The shit on their neck was gross, wasn't it?
At first, Susanna and Geordi were working together on the mystery, and then she was like, and she kept saying, we have to go back to the planet, we have to go back to the planet. So she was already...
Yeah.
She already had that drive before... Geordi was the exception. He was the one that changed first and then went to the planet.
Well, it's probably because to an extent because he sort of by then knew what was going on, was able to more consciously try and resist.
Yeah, to fight it.
Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, and it's interesting how they may have just not have had that transformation until they had already left their home ships.
That's interesting, because Leighton did go back to the planet before she even started transforming at all, and then left again.
Yeah, but she definitely...
They dragged her away, though, right?
Yeah. And then when they were looking at the video together, that's when she said, I have to go back. We have to go back. I have to go down there. We have to go down there.
I left a contact lens.
This does seem to contradict, though, what we've had up to this point, that shuttles don't have warp. Because there's no way those shuttles made it to that planet.
Especially that rinky-dink
pod.
Yeah.
There's no way they made it there under impulse in less than several centuries.
Yeah.
So, shuttles have warp now.
Well,
Again, the Cytherians told them how to get back to Tarkanan.
I think that's an inconsistency we're gonna have to just accept as fans.
I mean, I'm fine with it, because as I said before, there's no point in their having nacelles if they don't have warp.
Maybe it's an aesthetic choice.
Well, it's a dumb choice.
If they work on antimatter, even if it's not a warp drive, if they're still using matter-antimatter as some sort of power generation system,
Next generation.
You could still use nacelles.
Well, you could have a Bussard collector without having a full nacelle, because most of the nacelle is oh Jesus.
Also, the question I would say, are they nacelles or are they pontoons?
So that's things on the shuttle pod. There isn't a glowy bit at the front, so it seems to be a pontoon. Mm-hmm. With the larger shuttles, there is a glowy bit.
What is the glowy bit's purpose?
That's the Bussard collector.
What does it do?
That scoops up.
Bussards, are you listening?
Correct.
It scoops up hydrogen and various other bits.
Deuterium, really.
Yeah. It picks up random stuff in space to be used as fuel.
Oh, right, it's Mr. Fusion.
Yeah.
We've talked about that before, I think.
Yeah. So
and I made the same reference.
The glowy bit's the Bussard collector, and then the rest of the nacelle is actually full of the warp coils. So really, if you just want a Bussard collector, you just need that front piece. You don't need the whole stick.
I mean, I don't know if it's ever definitively established that that shuttle, that particular style of shuttle, doesn't have warp. For all we know, it could have limited warp capability. Maybe it can do a warp 1 or something. I mean, in the past, they've explicitly said the shuttles don't have warp. Maybe. Shut up.
Yep. Correct.
I don't know. You're right that the design
suggests it. But
says that yes. But even the original series shuttles, like the Galileo, had nacelles or pontoons, but whatever you want to call them.
Though they never said either way whether or not shuttles had warp capability back then.
Well, I remember, if you'll recall, in the motion picture, Spock's shuttle had a special detachable warp drive.
True, but that was a Vulcan shuttle.
That's true.
Well, still, the Vulcans are in the Federation. They all should be sharing technology.
Well, yeah, but they might make different choices, and even. They still have some of their own stuff, and they choose to do things differently.
And let's be real. The Vulcans are part of the Federation like Guam is part of the United States. They're in the Federation, but they're just like a backwater. And
Yikes. Wow.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure...
Sorry, Vulcans. How about sorry people from Guam?
I feel like...
I know more Vulcans than people from Guam, though.
On the off chance that we do have a listener from Guam, I'm sorry.
I do feel I'm not making fun of Guam. I'm just saying it's like
I know.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Guam. I'm just saying it's a fucking backwater and it sucks like Vulcan.
no, it's just been neglected, just like any United States territory.
See, I feel like the
Samoa,
Vulcans...
Puerto Rico.
How about Puerto Rico? I hear they're doing okay.
Yeah, it's like a neglected
Guys, did you know that Hurricane Maria was a Democratic plot to make Trump look bad?
and
Sorry, Puerto
the
Rico.
Democrats worked with China to create global warming to generate the
But see, I feel like...
I thought the Jews had the weather changing.
they're
machines.
working on it.
See, I feel like the Vulcans are way more important to the Federation than that, though.
Oh,
Like,
I
they've
don't know.
been-
I think we've been seeing the Federation perspective for too long, and
But I mean, you think about, like,
they're
even...
basically slaves.
I mean, Doc
Oh,
did say
Jesus.
they've been...
I have to do the rest of this podcast standing up. There's no way I can remove this animal from this chair.
Hey, Black Cat. Oh, he's spitting at you.
I mean, in the original series, Bones does refer to Vulcan as being conquered, but no, because I mean, so the problem is I'm retconning here, but I mean, we see how important to the Foundation everything is the Vulcans are in Enterprise. We see, various, well, at least one fairly high-ranking Vulcan in Disco. I don't know, I feel like they have a bit more say. Maybe the better analogy is the Vulcans are to the Federation as, say, Canada is to the United Nations.
Canada's doing pretty okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I think we're underestimating... Jesus Christ. We're underestimating the importance of Vulcan.
Sorry, just getting some photographic evidence of this little asshole sitting on my chair.
Yes,
If you cannot hear me as well as usual, it's because I'm further away than usual. Actually, it's probably better. I'm probably the loudest of all of us. Except when Chris gets shouty.
For those that are confused, there are, as we have mentioned before, 2 cats here. We are often visited by one of them, but that one likes us.
No one's ever listened to this podcast before and heard these cats obstructing the
Well,
podcast.
normally this one doesn't show up. This one is much more angry, and he has, in fact, stolen Caitlin's chair.
Well, because he's angry.
Well, because Caitlin stood up.
And he keeps folding his ears back.
Well, Caitlin really needed a drink.
Move
guys,
your
okay?
feet, lose your seat. That's what the Black Cat says.
Anyway,
If I fits, I spits.
politics of the Federation aside.
Politics of the Federation aside, here's a question to ponder.
Mhm.
Is Tarkanan Geordi still blind?
Seems
Well,
not.
actually, all of them have light sensitivity, so... Sorta?
I mean, they have eyes, though. They have, like...
No, I
Well,
know.
Geordi always has eyes.
Yeah, but his eyes don't work. That's the difference.
Well,
He
but-
does seem to look at Susanna when
Yeah.
she's, like, trying to talk him down.
Yeah, and his visor is long gone.
Well, but that's also an instinctual thing. Like, I think even
True.
if you don't have sight, you would look towards the sound because you're turning to it to capture the sound best, no?
I mean, I did actually kind of think that, but I just figured, it completely rewrote everything about his being, so probably.
Well, then why when it turns back is he blind again?
Because Crusher restored his DNAs.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe they were going to use a little transporter magic before it was clear
I was
to me
thinking
what
that
was
too.
going on.
Yeah, I actually have a
I was
note.
like, time to abandon them down there and just reboot your latest save of those people.
I will say I am impressed they didn't just resort to... Because at one point they specifically mention...
The memory card being full, so they couldn't access their save files.
they talk, needing unaltered genes, and my first thought was, so we're going to fall back on the transporter pattern
But the thing
again.
is, like, if they knew that, 5 years ago that was when they got infected with this thing, how long did they keep records of their
Well, what you do is...
transporter?
How did they find what's-her-face? How did they find Susanna's genes?
They
Well,
looked,
that's the thing,
they
they
looked
just-
at her closet.
They
Ah.
didn't... All they had to do is, once they removed the thymus from her thymus, she just reverted.
Oh.
The thingus and her
So
thymus.
Jordy, they must have just, they were like, all
Why
right,
would you revert?
someone go down to the holodeck with a sponge and bring it back
Oh,
here.
no.
Well, that's the thing. The way this works is there's a point of no return, is what it comes down to.
Right, yeah, I was even thinking when they had those 2 DJs down on the planet, why not just, because, Leighton had to make this gigantic big show of getting Tarkan and Geordi to trust her and come with her. When I'm thinking, just fucking phaser him, stun him, bring him back with you.
Yeah.
Why drag him all the way out into the open and give him a hug when you could just fucking jump on him?
Yeah.
Them being played by DJs lends extra credence to you calling them rave apes.
That's true.
Actually. So
I'm just doing that because of their Tron stripes, but
They're Tron stripes. Well, but why not Tron apes then?
I don't know. I like Rave. I thought Rave Apes sounded better.
It sounds fucking great. I love it, but I'm just saying it's like actually perfect.
Oh,
but-
Jordy, you're so veiny.
But in answer to your question, Ames,
Ow.
if they had used like even just more recent transporter patterns, they could have reformed them and then removed the fungus from the thymus.
Right, because then they would have had more time.
Yeah.
It would have been less time critical.
Yeah, and they'd know what the thing that they were looking for was.
Yeah.
Do you need your thymus?
I mean,
One
I
of
didn't...
those things you can get, just do something else.
I mean,
In the 24th century, probably.
if it's part of both the endocrine and the lymph systems, it sounds important.
Does it?
Yeah.
I also read that there was going to be it would have been like a darker, weirder ending, because instead of just seeing the 2 fucking DJs and Jordy down there would have just been masses of them, and they just would have just lived everywhere.
And then they remembered they didn't have a budget for
It was
that.
probably because of the budget that they cut all of that, but also just it would have been really fucking creepy.
Oh, yeah, it would have been super creepy.
that
It's
also
almost
would've-
too bad.
That's what
Pick
I...
which one is Jordy. Oh no!
Just shout, Leah Brahms is here, and see which one goes, ooh.
Ooh,
Um,
that one's got a boner.
Oh, no!
but that
Yeah, but
also
they don't have dicks, though. It doesn't seem...
would have
Oh, God, or
poked
do they?
that would have poked a hole in Jake's virus theory, I think, if there were millions of them.
Yeah, that wouldn't work.
Would have poked a hole in Jody's uniform also.
Jody
he took it
LaForge.
off.
That's in the gender-swapped universe.
Jody LaForge.
I don't know, but overall, I like the idea in Identity Crisis of, and then the shame is, I always read the synopses before watching the show so that I can do my stupid research like a fool, like the fool that I am.
You could always read it afterwards.
I watched the episode last night. I wouldn't have had time.
That's fair.
Or like when we watch immediately before recording, wouldn't have time.
Right, that makes
But
sense.
I wonder what you guys were thinking before you knew what was happening to the people that they were transforming, and said that they just vanished or were perhaps kidnapped by Bigfoots.
So maybe this is why I didn't like it as much, but
Bigfoots. Big feet, Ames.
No,
The,
only 1 foot
Okay.
is big.
the picture for the episode on Netflix was like one of the rave apes.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
So it was like, okay, so they're turning into rave apes. Also, I don't know if I'd seen this one before or
Yeah,
what.
but it could have been the rave apes are just kidnapping them.
I think I might have seen this one years ago or something, because it seemed vaguely like, I just kind of knew, like, yeah, they're turning into rave apes.
What did you think was going on, Caitlin?
I just thought there were giant frogs involved because that's what I thought the footprints looked like.
Nice.
I was like, are there giant frog monsters on the planet? Why are they stalking them and eating them? I don't understand. But I didn't really have much of a theory beyond frog monsters. All right,
Wow.
Listen, I didn't say it was a good theory. You don't need to give me shit about it. Did you even watch the episodes, Black Cat? I don't think Black Cat liked Identity Crisis very much.
No, not his cup of tea. He prefers Q episodes.
Well, then
I
he'll be happy with next week.
do like, I don't know, it's about frog monsters.
No, it was because of the footprints. It looked to me like a frog foot.
No, I know. I wonder, like, what the scheme would have been in that episode. Are they actually just like the frogs that run the bathhouse and Spirited Away? Are they luring customers?
Mm-hmm. Probably.
As
The
you
what?
do.
The what now?
The little frog people that work at the bathhouse and Spirited Away.
It really was the witch that ran it, though.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, but they
Bravo,
I
but-
should say they were the
Well, and at first I thought you were just talking about that one frog that No Face eats, but you're right. There are a
There's
couple
a bunch
of
of-
people that are frog
Yeah, well, like the
people.
little assistants.
yeah, they're all like
Yeah, one of them is smoking a cigarette outside at one point.
yeah. Anyway, this is
Anyway.
not a Spirited Away podcast, sadly, although we
Damn, it should
bring
be.
it up a lot.
Yeah, I don't have a ton more to say on Identity Crisis. I thought it looked really fucking cool.
That's
Yeah.
true.
It was nice seeing Jordy doing a thing that wasn't
Creeping
and
on
weird.
women.
It's true. It was creepy in a different way and not his fault.
But he and Suze did seem to have like a very like...
Riker wanted to get on Susanna immediately.
Who doesn't Riker want to get on?
True. Like the second he walks in and he starts calling her Susanna, I'm like, Riker?
Riker.
Presumptuous.
I did-
Seriously.
I did have that as a note as well.
Like, you're not
was like-
not on a first name basis with this woman yet.
That is, yeah, no, one of my notes is Susanna Riker. She's not your old friend. Chill.
Probably figures like, well, if she's into a creep like Geordi...
I have this resplendent beard.
True.
Much nicer than the beard on the big head man in the Nth Degree.
Oh, look at you segueing.
That was a good segue.
Yeah. So I want to ask Caitlin, because I've been listening to our episodes as they come out, and every week we make a reference to Reg Barclay, and Caitlin will say, "Who?" And then we'll realize, oh, it's because you weren't there when we
But
did
I
that
have.
episode. But now you have.
I've now watched
So
Hollow
what do you-
Pursuits as well.
What is your general feeling of Reg Barclay, Caitlin? Now that you've seen 2 episodes with him.
I love him. I do. I love him.
Have you seen the A-Team?
No, that's the thing. Chris and I were actually talking about that on the way over. That he's usually like, what did you say? He's usually in a mental asylum and he's like their pilot or something.
Yeah, he's Mad Dog Murdoch. He's crazy.
See, the thing for me is that's really fucking weird because, I mean, obviously he's playing a little dweeb, but I feel like he looks like a little dweeb. So it's hard to imagine someone who looks like a little dweeb like Barclay does being a badass pilot.
No, he's got range. Because if you watched in Hollow Pursuits, when he's not being a little dweeb and he's on the holodeck, being all kick-ass,
sword fighting and being awesome.
He's got that he could be a kind of like madman going on about him.
I guess. I don't know. I still don't. I don't know.
And he's an entirely different character in this episode.
Yeah.
In the Nth Degree, in which he's almost he goes to suave and then goes right past suave to douchebag.
I don't think he was a douchebag.
No, he was a douchebag.
No, I didn't think so at all, really.
What?
Yeah, I thought he was a douchebag.
Wow.
He was mansplaining to everybody.
Well...
He told Crusher how to do her job.
Well, to be fair, she is the worst doctor ever.
I don't know, she's not Bones.
Oh, poor Bones.
Bones did that brain surgery that no one had ever done before.
Yeah, Bev could have done that if she wore that helmet, too. She could have done it twice.
This is why this is funny.
Why?
Because I'm usually the one who's like, he was a terrible doctor, and I think Chris is usually the one who's like, yeah, but he did that whole thing.
So...
He did one thing.
What I also like, credit people like Schultz, is that his more confident Reg in this was kind of different from the sort of confident holodeck Reg.
Yeah.
Because it has to be, because it's a more real, for him, confidence, Like, he's actually confident, not just confident because he's in a play world.
Yeah. And the confidence is bolstered by high IQ.
Yeah.
What number did he try to assign it?
12 or 14.
Like
1400. Absurd number. And really, they still use IQ in the future?
I hope not.
It's a terrible system.
It
doesn't
is.
Actually make
Do you think
sense.
they still... Hopefully they've gotten rid of BMI at least. Another bullshit set of made-up numbers.
The fuck is BMI?
Body mass index.
That one.
Are you obese, overweight?
Yeah, thanks for pointing it out.
The other one?
So...
A fucking broom?
This isn't directly related to the episode, but it was something I thought. You think, with the miracle that is the holodeck, you would have plays on the holodeck.
I was thinking the same thing.
So you could have a dynamic stage.
Yeah,
What about all the stagecraft people? They need to build sets.
No, they don't. There's a holodeck for that. Their jobs are obsolete now.
Listen.
I mean, to be
And
fair,
the
it's not like
costumers,
they're,
too.
it's not like they're particularly useful now either.
Like, I'm looking at this
Wow.
and saying, who did the costume for Barclay and did the wig such that he doesn't, know how to wear it, and the hat that it doesn't fit on the fucking set. Like, if it were the holodeck, it would all work fine.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. That's when they've always thought about the holodeck. Is the stuff you could do with theater with that, because the stage is anything you need it to be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I think there might be some part of, just like with anything in Star Trek, everyone seems to have a real hard-on
That's
for
true.
old-timey shit.
That's true.
So it's probably like, oh, it's so quaint. We said we built the set out of wood.
I will
from
say
a
this, though.
tree.
I totally did not at all recognize him under the Cyrano de Bergerac costume at all. That's what it was, Cyrano de Bergerac,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So I was, actually pretty impressed, because I was like, who even is this? And then it was like, oh, nice job, Reg. And I was like, shut the front door. Is that Reg? Good job,
The
buddy.
person that was acting like a fidgety wiener the whole time, and you weren't able to put that together.
Well, but I thought maybe Cyrano de Bergerac was meant to be a...
He kind of is, I guess. His whole point is
Wiener.
he speaks through an intermediary. Also, I like that Bev is just the onboard triple threat. She dances, she teaches theater, she's a physician.
She has an annoying son.
Fucks the captain.
Yeah.
Sometimes, maybe. It's
when she
unclear.
feels like it. Hey, and she's also really good at being a douchebag to women who have a thing for Picard. So don't forget that. Don't leave that shit out.
That's next week.
Yeah, we'll get to
Well,
that.
we've seen it already, though, haven't we?
Well, yes, but...
I know, I'm getting ahead of myself. It's just because I'm excited.
I think we saw it with that other woman that Picard was into.
That other woman
The one whose husband was in love with time.
Oh! Excuse me, I forgot about that episode.
Yeah.
was in love with time?
We'll always have Paris, I think.
I don't remember this at all.
With the wank-accord, the wanks-a-harp.
Yes.
The wanks accord?
Remember the guy had a musical instrument that was strapped to him where you
Oh,
Jerk
jerking off
I
too
forgot
much.
about that. Jesus.
The cat has relinquished my chair.
Haha.
Hey, Ames.
Hey,
Oh,
Caitlin.
God,
Good to see
that-
you. Now, you can't get up again.
Oh, that
Apparently not.
sweater. Oh,
Bev's sweater?
yeah.
What, next week?
No, this week.
There was one this week?
What sweater?
What sweater was she wearing this week?
When they were doing the other Cyrano scene later in the workshop, not in the play.
Oh.
It might even
Why
be the
were
same
there still
story.
audience members watching the
I
workshop?
assumed that was the rest of the workshop.
Oh, maybe.
Like, I presume there's other students.
Doing a rehearsal?
Yeah.
Those are the other characters in the play. It's not just Cyrano de Bergerac.
I'd like to think that. Oh, yeah, so there was a weird thing about this for me. Not
Just
weird.
one thing.
There was some things I noted was that the Argus array, I remember thinking, oh, that kind of reminds me of the sensor outpost at the start of the motion picture. The one that gets fucked by V'ger after the Klingons.
Sure.
And then later, when they're in whatever weird subspace thing Reg created, it kind of reminded me again of the wormhole sequence. In that. So I thought that was kind of funny. I doubt it was on purpose, but it amused me.
Yes, there wasn't a very slow-moving asteroid, at least.
No, but everything else, they're like, we're moving funny and there's blurs
Oh, yes,
and
I
talking
thought that
slow.
too. Okay, I'm glad
And for
that you...
some reason, Worf goes back to the bridge when he was just on the holodeck. Worf, where were you going? Use your communicator. Anyway.
So, now the actual episode.
Oh, that.
Because we can't talk about other things related to it, but not quite it itself. So, the Einstein sequence, right?
Oh, Barclay totally fucked Einstein.
Like, sexually, or you mean he, like...
Sexually.
I didn't like that sequence because it took me out of the episode. Because it's like...
Einstein looked like paper mache.
Well, yeah, first of all, why didn't they just hire an old person?
I think it was just Jameson, wasn't it?
Why did they have to take a person and slather them under the infamous TNG old makeup?
Nobody wants to
Yikes.
give people money, old people money. Let me
Apparently.
try again. No one wants to pay old people to show up.
Yeah,
I don't
it
know.
seems so. But, like, I get it. It's like, oh, it's shorthand. The audience wants to change time to someone really smart. Like, just have him talking to the computer. Have him and the computer arguing. It can talk back to him. He can still be the holodeck and stuff's appearing and just, but like this weird, like he's talking to Einstein thing. It's like,
Well,
guys,
he
come on.
even said though that he did it. That he wasn't actually talking to Einstein. He used Einstein to act as an avatar, right? Like he even said that to.
Did he?
Jordy.
I thought he just
Yeah,
said he,
he
fired
said-
up the Einstein program. But
Yeah, no, he said. I'm paraphrasing, but he was when Jordy was like, "What the fuck was that?" And he was like, "Oh, I was up all night coming up with new theories of quantum bullshit, and I wanted to interact with someone, so I had the computer
Talk with Moriarty.
do the."
No, he didn't want to get stuck
do the
with
Einstein
crumpets.
thing. So I think he wasn't talking to like a fully fledged Einstein
Sure.
character. He was
Right,
talking
because
to
Einstein at this point would be like how many years defunct by now?
oh yeah,
yeah, exactly. I mean, they're still confirming Einstein's theories to this day. So.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, just like
Oh, yeah, big
gravitation,
one. Yeah.
gravitational waves, which they recently discovered like a couple years ago, was something that Einstein predicted, but had never. That was one of those things like.
Well, and that's why they were theories and not...
Well, it's
Something
I mean,
more-
everything, like even gravity is still considered a theory.
Yeah, but like once you prove it, is there never a point where you
No.
prove it definitively?
No, a theory is basically the high. I mean, there's laws which are like the cosmological constants, but theory is like the highest level.
But then how could it not be...
It's a common argument used by the creationists because Darwin's theory of evolution, they're like, well, if it was real, it would be the fact of evolution. But yeah, no, that's in scientific parlance. Theory
not
is
in the Bible.
theory is. It's basically saying it's basically science's way of saying this is what we.
This is true until we're proven
this is what we
otherwise.
believe based on all the gathered information. But that's not to say that like gravity, we've known about gravity in pretty decent detail since Newton.
yeah.
But then Einstein came along and was like, Newton's gravity is it works in most circumstances,
Yeah,
but
here's different circumstances.
here's some more shit about gravity that you didn't know.
Well, I
Then
think-
how come Newton has some laws but also some theories?
Well, those are like laws of motion. I think that
But why are those laws?
because they're I think
because I think
I'm not a scientist, but I believe it's a mathematical equation at that point. It's like
yeah. And the thing is, I
Okay.
think it's one of those things that it does, I might be misremembering this, but it's one of the, like, a lot of Newton's stuff does apply at our level of perception. Where his stuff fails is when you go very, very big and very, very small.
Right. But yeah,
Pythagoras had a
like
theorem.
gravitational waves were something that was predicted by Einstein's theories, but that was sort of like, the idea was, okay, we can...
Those are the theoretical physics?
Yeah, so that was theoretical physics. It was like, hey, basically most of what Einstein did wasn't practical. It wasn't like doing experiments in a lab. It was doing math problems in his head and on paper to explain other things. And then since he was around, every so many years, someone will actually find a way to conduct a physical experiment, like the LIGO, I think was the name of the observatory.
That sounds right.
But it was basically the way they detected the gravitational waves is they had this observatory, which was really like two detectors that were really, really like far apart, but also very precisely calibrated to each other. And then, like, the gravitational wave actually changes the shape of space.
Whoa.
Like, that's what it's doing. So the way they detected it was because these were such precise instruments, they could see that, I think, like, the distance between them, which was well known, changed, like, ever so slightly. And there was no... And, like, that can happen because of, an earthquake, but there was no...
Seismic activity.
There was no other explanation that would have created this result other than the shape of the universe changed, which was the gravitational wave passing through Earth.
That's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
And I think I think their science, their science fiction science, doesn't necessarily break any of his rules. Like, isn't the idea of warp, it doesn't break the law of rules that Einstein figured out. It's more like it sort of bends reality
Well, yeah,
to
I don't
its
think.
will
Yeah,
or
I
something.
think there's
Because there's actual theory of warp. It's not just a word.
I think the
Gene Roddenberry
idea
made
is
up.
more that the warp
Bends
field.
space or something.
Well, yeah, it's forming a warp bubble or warp field is formed around the warp core.
Right.
Something that's roughly the size of the ship.
Yeah.
And then relative to that frame of reference inside the bubble, you can shift the space in front or behind,
Right.
to make yourself move through the other frame of reference, the other reference frame, which is outside the warp bubble.
Yeah.
So essentially, it's creating like two different, like a pocket, not really a pocket universe, but it's creating a piece of our universe that has different rules than everything else, and then you can move shit around.
Yeah. And then Barclay brought that up to, the Nth Degree.
Yeah.
Title now.
Well, he was actually moving through subspace, which was another, like...
Pink wavy shit.
Pink wavy shit, which is like... I think that's supposed to be more like what hyperspace in Star Wars is, where you're actually leaving the universe and traveling through another universe.
It really just would have been more efficient for him to build a mycelial drive and use himself as the computer for it.
Well, what I want to know is where the fuck this technology went, right? So the Cytherians... Did they not give them this tech? Because Voyager would have loved this shit.
Would have been handy. Well, that's my thought. It's like, Reg doesn't remember what he did, but surely the computer does.
Yeah, right?
No, because the computer was
Reg.
too... No, but also the computer was too slow to keep up with blah, 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 which is why Reg jacked in or whatever.
Jacked off.
Maybe the Cytherians did give them...
Jack off.
Maybe they did give them, like, the equations or whatever to do this, but they didn't give them the technology with which to actually compute those
It's their
equations.
own sort of prime directive.
Well, maybe it's just like, okay, yeah, well, when you guys figure out how to make these computers that are 300 times faster than the ones you have, you can do this too.
Picard did say they had been given data that would take decades for scholars to study, so in theory someone is working on a
Probably Barclay.
something drive.
But I find it interesting that, like, he says, like, oh, we learned all about them, and I'm thinking, like, wait, but these people never leave, so it's like, what is that date? It's like, well, so this is like my collection of DVDs that I ordered from Amazon, and over here is my bag of cat poop. I'm just too lazy to take it out, but I don't mind. I have no sense of smell. And here's my cat.
Aw,
Feeling
Cytherian
personally
cat.
attacked.
Just a big floaty cat head
Aw,
that hisses at
with
Caitlin.
dreadlocks and
The what that hates Caitlin? Is that
That
what you just
hisses at
said?
Caitlin.
Yeah. Same thing. Hates
but yeah,
Caitlin,
like-
hisses
like-
at Caitlin.
They must. I mean, the only thing I could imagine they'd have of interest to say would be technology, which they clearly didn't give the Federation.
I think they gave them like some stuff, but it sounds like
Not the good shit.
well, not anything they can use right now.
Well, you know what it is? They also theoretically can give them, here's shit we've learned from all these other cultures we've met.
Yeah,
would be-
that's
Oh, the
other
Borg?
thing.
No worries. Just take out their batteries.
Hey.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
It would be like if you found a caveman and you gave him a USB drive, but not anything to put it into.
The Borg. You know, none of those wires are shielded, so all you gotta do is pee on them. They'll short circuit.
It seemed like actual guns do a pretty good job, too.
Yeah, that's true.
Not to look forward to the future or
Batlift.
whatnot, but chop
But-
those motherfuckers to pieces. It works real
But
good.
yeah, the Cytherians. Also, something I thought was interesting about this was how the probe, how Barclay described the probe working is like, because originally it went and it tried to reprogram the Argus array.
Yep.
But the Argus array computer was shitty and too shitty for the probe's data. So
Oh yeah,
that's-
the probe thought it was intelligent life, right, or something.
yeah, or the probe just didn't know. The probe was just like, I'm going to find something I can interface with. And
Yeah.
then I'm going to download my secret sauce in.
Here's
and then
my
it,
porn.
and then it tried the Enterprise, and the Enterprise didn't work. And then, or no, it tried the shuttlecraft. That didn't work. And then it was like,
Shuttlecraft.
oh look, a dumbass. Let me download it to him. He's got a lot of empty
Oh
space.
no,
in
that one's
there.
got a visor.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because Geordi wouldn't have seen the flash.
Okay, so fucking Reg becomes a genius heir of 1,400 IQ points, and Geordi's fucking visor is enough to filter that shit out. I find that suspicious.
Well, maybe it's just like the interface between the visor and his brain doesn't have the bandwidth to transfer.
that
it
actually
to
makes
him.
more sense. But if
Yeah.
that was the case, I would want his visor to break, and he'd have to have it
like
fixed.
smoke starts
Yeah.
rising out of it.
Yeah.
Son of a
Ooh, that's a spicy meatball.
It actually is literally cracks down the middle, and they don't have a spare right now, so you just got tape around the middle of his
Yeah.
visor for the rest of the episode.
look like a big fucking nerd.
You're a wizard, Geordi.
I really liked this episode, though.
That's
I liked
fun.
seeing awesome Reg. And again, you say he was a douchebag,
Oh, he was a douchebag.
but Deanna was into it.
What I found
Diana
kind of
loves douchebags.
Yeah.
We've learned.
All right,
this.
yeah, actually, you're
Have you
right.
seen all the douchebags she's fallen for?
No, you're right.
Riker,
You've actually just proven you're
that
right.
other
Reva,
guy.
Rawl.
Yeah, God, ugh, that is her type. What I thought too, my note was, when Bridge first asked her, I was like, oh, Reg, I'm not clear if Riker and I are fucking right now. I really wish the show would
She
decide.
can't fucking sense that shit at all.
Because, like, they're not even on again, off again. It's just like, they're maybe?
Yeah, I have a note here. It's like Riker Hart Troi ? Who the fuck knows?
Yeah, it's so bizarre.
Oh, you never
well,
said if his
maybe-
past was successful. Huh?
And he seemed just kind of like thinking it was fun, so it's like, so are you two fucking or not?
Well, maybe our our 21st century views on sexuality and relationships are just passé and outdated by
That's
then.
Maybe
true.
they're FWBs.
If she was originally the Ilea character, and that
True.
character, then that species just goes to Plowtown with everybody.
goes
Unless-
to plow.
Unless they've taken a vow of celibacy.
And we know Loxana, she gets around, so
It's true.
And around and around.
That's like putting
like
it
a hula
mildly.
So who knows? Maybe it's a Betazoid thing, or maybe it's just in the future.
That's
Everyone's like,
racist.
everyone's just like, let's bone.
So did...
That does sort of seem like the direction we might go with, right?
It
Because
also
you
seems
sort
like
of feel like...
it seems like the direction Roddenberry would definitely.
I mean,
go with.
definitely.
Yeah, that's true.
You think he knew about polyamory?
I think
I
he
think he
probably
may have-
was.
Do you think he invented it?
I mean, he definitely had mistresses that Majel Barrett knew all about, and I don't know if there's ever been any definitive word on whether or not she was maybe into it. Who knows? I don't want to speak ill of the dead or anything.
So
Or
does this
imply
mean
things, but-
that after that walk, Reg and Deanna fucked?
I hope so.
Probably.
for Reg's sake, because he looks like he could use it.
I hope he's hung.
Yeah, probably is.
Just hope he has like a
That was
really
that was the
big
one.
old...
That was the gift the Cytherians didn't take away.
I am not.
And now it's prehensile.
Like
He can pick things up
Want
like
to see my warp coil?
Yeah, I am not gonna Google how big is Dwight Schultz's cock. Thank you.
No.
I will.
No.
Oh, yeah.
White
Oh,
Schultz
yikes.
Schwanz.
Anyway.
Schwanz! How did you know that? Look at you knowing German. Did you take German at some point?
No, I know.
But you know Schwanz. Nobody knows
I know what
Schwanz.
words are.
Yikes.
But anyways, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna say talking about the Cytherians and how they allowed Barclay to do the things and then still know how to move pieces on a chessboard. What the fuck is up with their heads? And why do they look like that if they're advanced beings? Dear God, they look like fucking Shaggy after a couple of decades. And also, like, apparently this was, like, originally going to be a much darker ending, and the Cytherians would have been a more malevolent creature. But the final script was delivered on the day of shooting for the final scene, and they were nice guys, it seemed like.
That's better, because why would
Yeah.
a malevolent species go through all that trouble?
Yeah, because then you're just making poor Barclay enact something for bad reasons.
Yeah, like, here, come here so we can shoot you? Like, what?
Also, I think it's good to have, like, it seems like more often than not. In fact, I can't even really remember the last time we've encountered a benevolent, mysterious alien.
Well, there was Lucian from Magics of Magus 2, who
Yeah.
also lived at the center of the galaxy.
Just
right.
like God.
Yeah, so all these guys are one and the same,
What
right?
does God need with a starship?
Get away from those annoying hippie neighbors of his.
Like, we don't get, like, the Organians, who are... They're benevolent.
They're nice, yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting that when
the
they...
Metron were
They were
good in theory,
They were
but they
good
just
at-
had a couple stupid ways to do things.
Yeah, well, forcing you to kill each other is an
Yeah.
interesting way to be benevolent.
Often when you do see these more advanced species, they're like either a trickster like Q,
Mm-hmm.
or they are more advanced and maybe they're benevolent, but they're also kind of douchebags like
What about the
the
Traveler?
Metron.
The Traveler's pretty
That's true.
advanced.
He was a good guy.
But he's not quite that same, like, I mean, he's got crazy superpowers, but I definitely, in my mind, I feel like he's on a slightly lower level than, say, a lot of these other higher species.
Yeah, but like, what was his name? Face in Space.
Nagila?
Oh, Nagilum, yeah, he was awful.
Yeah, he was a dickhead.
Yeah.
Dick face, I guess.
Well, here's a tangent, a side note that I think about it every so often, but it was something that came to mind when watching this episode is, why did they do the makeup so funny on Data's eyebrows?
What do they do? I've never
I
noticed.
didn't even notice.
It's just, they kind of paint the silver into the eyebrows. You can still see the eyebrows.
Oh.
There's still, you can still like the black individual hairs, but you can see that there's all like the silver face paint kind of over it.
I bet you that they tried to shave his eyebrows and he just looked really weird.
Oh, he
Yeah,
probably
but then they
would.
could draw new ones on.
And they probably tried that too.
Oh, I
they
bet
probably
he-
tried doing like brown eyebrows to match his hair.
Brown eye?
Probably tried that and it probably also looked weird.
They're doing that because, like, you can see skin beneath the eyebrow, probably, is the idea.
Yeah, but then you can still see like the individual hairs look colored though.
Yeah, but, like, on your eyebrows, I can see your skin through them. Here.
Yeah, but my eyebrows aren't white.
Well, also...
No, I know, but his eyebrows aren't white. What I'm suggesting is that maybe the idea is that you're supposed to be able to see his skin through it?
Also, recall that this was originally intended to be broadcast in a much lower quality, where
Oh,
you
maybe.
would probably not even be able to make out individual hairs in
That's
his
true,
eyebrows.
yeah.
Versus, the HD that we're watching, you can see, like, I remember the first time I saw the remastered HD TNG. Like, it actually, I mean, it was very impressive, but it was also a little jarring.
Staring at everybody's pores.
Well, like, Brent Spiner in particular, right? Because I feel like maybe in the movies where it was high resolution, they went through a little more trouble to make sure that the paint job was smooth and, like,
Yeah.
covered a lot of the skin imperfections, but they weren't nearly as careful on the show.
Yeah, I mean, there's case in point. Like,
Yeah.
when you
that's-
just search images, you can tell that, like, the skin
Yeah,
is
so
very...
I think, like,
Yeah.
it was never intended at the time to be viewed as an HD
Yeah,
broadcast.
so they just didn't have to worry as much.
Even though I think I learned that like HD broadcasts have been, or like the concept of HD television has been around for like 50 years. It's just the technology was too expensive.
Oh, did Einstein come up with it?
Probably.
Actually, I think Philo Farnsworth came up with it.
Oh, word.
I think like after, like that was going to be his comeback, was like after he lost out the patent to TV, he had like an idea like, we're stuck to the whatever the number of scan lines was on broadcast TV, but guess what? I got the technology. I've come up with a way to send out way more scan lines. Same tech, just more of them.
Did he get boned out of that?
No, I actually remember. I think I read a thing about this.
Did he get boned out of this invention too?
I think it just did. I think
probably.
he was basically already penniless and like couldn't get investors, and just it would have been too expensive and impractical at the time.
Speaking of technology,
Yes.
all of the effects in the interface scene with Barclay in his special chair were done live with lasers and mirrors.
Nice.
Whoa.
It looked really fucking cool.
I thought they were practical. I would not have thought that was
shooting
lasers.
into his head, you mean, that thing?
Yeah, the thing that was zapping him in.
Yeah.
That's neat.
No
When
shit,
he
that's
was
really
connected
neato.
to the pewter.
I think, I don't know if I said this on the air or not, but I remember saying once I don't think I'd seen this episode, but I definitely did. Like, I don't remember it well, but because when he went, "That's fine, I'll tell you how to build one," I distinctly remembered that line. I was like, I have seen this one.
At least he was also mansplaining to the computer.
Well, yeah, it's a woman.
Yeah, it's Majel Barrett's voice.
He mansplains.
Whatever.
Although, actually, he even sort of did it to Riker a little.
Yeah.
And Riker's, oh, yeah, no, that makes sense. Like, fuck you, Riker.
When he's in his chair and he says, "Taking me out of the chair will kill me," is he just resigning himself to living in the chair forever?
Yeah.
How does he poop?
Well,
He just beams it out of himself.
Oh, that's smart.
He is the computer now.
Hi, Black Cat. Black Cat has returned.
Uh-oh, he wants Caitlin's chair.
could take it over my cold dead ass.
Give me that
cat.
chair. If you remove me from this chair, I won't be able to fix the Armis array.
Also, actually, when you think about it, it's the holodeck. He could always just have the chair turn into a toilet. The chair itself wasn't the technology.
Oh, yeah.
He's just sitting there. It's like, chair, become toilet. Return to chair. No, wait. Chair, become bidet.
Ah.
Return to chair.
Y'all are the worst. I love it.
I think
Hey, I don't want to say there was a poopy butt.
He probably just mastered the beaming out of poop.
Yeah.
That's really what's going on.
I mean, of course, that is the pinnacle of genius. Why
Yeah.
bother having a 1400 IQ if you can't
Actually,
beam poopsies out of your bums?
he doesn't even need to poop or pee anymore. He gets his sustenance from the lasers, and there's no waste from that. Credit to Patrick Stewart. He did a really great job when the giant head appeared of, like...
Not shitting himself?
Well, of also just being the right mix of, like, I'm really annoyed by all this, but I'm also intrigued by the possibilities.
Yes. Also, I have fired Barclay.
Seriously, both
Out
times...
of a cannon into the sun.
Both times this guy has come to his attention, shit has gotten weird. You know, he's just like, oh, God.
Yeah, but, like, I mean, at least this time it wasn't his fault.
That's true.
The thing is, like, it is and it isn't. And I know, like, it's the same as the other one, where it's imprinted in you to want to return to this other place.
Yeah.
Whether it be Tarkanan 3 or whether it be the center of the galaxy, where God might be. How much can you blame someone, like, for stuff? I would still blame Barclay.
Well, I think,
Really?
I think
Mainly
there's a
for
thing
his
because,
Cyrano
like,
de Bergerac performance.
well, he did.
Bev was really
he did
impressed.
act like an asshole towards a lot of people, and even though he was being somewhat controlled by the probe or by the Cytherian,
He just doesn't have the temperament to
like,
be on the Supreme Court.
That's true. So yeah, I mean, I could see that. I mean, this is another instance
smile
though
more.
where I think they could do. I mean, obviously it's a one-off episode, and you know, Barclay's like a character we get once a season, so it's not going to be
Twice this season.
Was the first episode also the season?
Was it not?
I don't remember.
I thought it was. I could be wrong.
I don't remember.
If I am, I apologize.
It might have been. It might have been an early episode this season. I know it was after the first Leah Brahms episode.
Oh, no, it was season 3, episode 21.
Oh, all right, I was wrong.
But anyway, so yeah, he's not a character that shows up, but it would be interesting to, like, because I feel like there would be some serious psychological fallout from this experience.
Well, he's Barclay. He has severe psychological fallout with anything that does anything.
Plus, also
Talks to Troi and he falls into a stupor.
I was gonna say, plus he gets to get it in with her, so
He has to put it in with her.
Yeah, she jumped on that grenade.
That's what it looks like.
Oh!
You just pull the pin and it goes.
I don't know what that means.
I don't
and I
know
don't want to
either.
find out. Okay, I kind of do.
Ah.
Yeah, I'd fuck Barclay, I've decided.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Caitlin's got a type.
What is that? Unattractive? Like, I don't know what that means.
I don't think Dwight Schultz is unattractive.
I just don't know what my type is. Weird computer brain?
I mean, he's a...
Okay.
All right.
I don't know, I
China.
guess, like, I mean, he's lanky and brunette, just like Data and Bones, so...
Okay. So I like lanky brunettes.
Apparently.
But Pulaski wasn't brunette or lanky.
Well, that's the men you prefer.
I would have definitely stuffed
Apparently you
her
like
with
old
crumpets.
grannies for...
Just like, hey, listen, Ben Franklin preferred grannies too.
I've heard that.
Oh, gosh.
What else? What else was in this episode?
I don't know. I thought it was interesting just how like everyone kind of reacted in the crew, like when they have that meeting in the ready room with Geordi and Riker,
And they turn
Troi.
Barclay off.
Not even no. Before
Not that one?
when,
Okay.
when he before he hooks up to the computer, but when he's still just being
Oh,
smart.
yeah.
And like
Can we blame him for being smart?
yeah, and like Picard's like, well, he hasn't done anything dangerous.
Yeah, but he's a jerk.
And like Riker's like, no, arrest the motherfucker.
It's
Right,
like,
Riker's just mad that he's making moves on his
yeah.
fuck buddy.
No, it's funny. Like at the very beginning, you mentioned it was kind of a Flowers for Algernon kind of thing going on. And in Flowers for Algernon, when Charlie starts getting smarter and smarter, people start disliking him because he's a know-it-all asshole, and he gets fired from his box making job.
I mean, he was wasting himself there anyway. Once he became smart, I mean. Flowers for Algernon is good.
Yeah,
A
apparently
good book and a good play.
I was reading up on that book. Apparently, when the short story came out and when they were trying to get the book published, they were turned down from the publishers, from a couple of different publishers, because they thought the ending wasn't happy enough and that he should be able to keep his intelligence and get with the girl. And the writer's like, no, that's not the point of the book.
You dumb fucks.
I missed it. I also like there are a couple interesting little like almost fake outs or like callbacks to the previous Barclay episode when Geordi walks into the meeting and engineering and Barclay's
and he was
not
in
there.
the holodeck and
Yeah.
he's like,
Oh,
son of a
motherfucker,
bitch.
not this shit again.
He's balls
Up-
deep in Troi.
Up to his old tricks. Then he
yowza.
goes there and it's the freaking Einstein thing. He's like, oh, this is somehow weirder.
Balls deep in Einstein?
And Geordi starts jerking off.
Yeah.
Einstein.
No.
And then another.
Oh no! Says A.
There was a good reference in this when he said when he first plugs into the computer and they go down there to talk to him, and Picard's like, "I order you to disconnect from the computer," and he goes, "I'm afraid I can't do that,
sir." Yeah, I liked that too.
2001.
I was kind of
reference.
wondering, when they disconnected the audiovisual for that one meeting, I was like, is he going to read their lips
Yeah,
somehow?
we're gonna see his perspective.
Is he
looking
just going to
back and
hack
forth.
into Jordy's visor remotely?
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been fun.
No, even the couldn't do that. So
True.
they break his second backup visor because it's too
Everything's
stupid to
taped
handle
together.
it. He's like, son of a bitch.
But I would say like the two about both of these episodes this week, I actually really liked. There was some techno babble in both of them, but I thought they did a good job grounding the technology. With obviously in Identity Crisis, I liked the whole thing with the holodeck and how we talked about that.
Yeah, that
already.
scene, like I said, was actually really good.
And then you have Reg like hitting roadblocks because the technology isn't ready, so he has to be like, all right, I'll teach you how to make this thing.
And then their plan, like the ODN bypass, they're gonna bypass the controls and all that.
Which I wonder, would that have worked if Troi hadn't rumbled the game, the dumb bastard?
Yeah, probably. It probably would have. Although, I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's true because he would, his lasers sped up after she was there.
That was his erection, yeah. Boing, zap.
Oh.
So,
Semele.
now, before we sign off, because I can see we're getting to that stage,
We do have another one to record.
before we
Next
started
week.
recording, apparently Jake was saying that Caitlin was live
Oh, yeah.
texting him.
Well,
her
I think that
reactions
was
to-
during Hollow Pursuit.
Hollow
Yeah,
Pursuits,
she watched Hollow
but
Pursuits just because she
You
missed
said there was
that
something
episode.
amusing and names. It was
Oh,
just
well,
save it
no,
for-
just, it wasn't that amusing.
Oh, we'll skip it.
But, I'll say it anyway. So she texted me, "Oh my god, I'm watching Hollow Pursuits, and it's like that Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where they buttered them up about how great Barclay was, and then he's terrible."
Oh yeah, we've talked about
Which is-
foisting twice now today.
Which was the foisting episode.
Yeah.
Which is actually funny.
Wow.
Which is what Riker had said about Barclay's former posting.
Oh, And what did you think of The Most Toys, since that was also one of the ones you hadn't seen but now have?
Oh yeah, what was that? That was the Data one?
The guy kidnapped Data.
Oh,
Data
yeah.
did the Mona Lisa smile.
Wow, I fucking hated that guy so much. I know
Good
that was
episode,
the point.
man.
Yeah, it was a great episode. I really enjoyed the episode. I don't really remember how it ended. I remember that
He
like
was gonna
Data
straight up
refuses-
murder that motherfucker.
Oh yeah, that's right. And what's his name kills his girlfriend.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Like, oh no, the phaser discharged during transport. Oh wow, that's
Must have been a problem with the transporter.
Yeah.
it's too bad. I wish he would have. You know, it's good though because androids, they get a taste for blood after they kill
They're
the
like
first
sharks.
Yeah.
time. I was gonna say something about sharts. I was really confused.
Sharks.
They're like sharts. They got a taste for blood.
Great.
All right.
You're welcome.
Always classy here on SSHB. A
All right.
Shark to shart her shark.
All righty.
Shart
then.
to smear her by.
All right. Well, is that all we have to say about these shows?
I think so. Since
right.
we've been talking about sharts for
I
more
thought
than
these
a
are
minute.
great, so I'm all right with them. It sounds like it was a mixed bag. Some of you in the first one, but I think we all agreed that the second Hollow Pursuit is pretty good, huh?
I liked it a lot.
And
No, Nth Degree. Not Hollow.
Regardless, I enjoyed
But yeah,
it.
no, that one's really good. I like
Yeah,
that one a lot.
Barclay's good. Okay, well, so next week on our show, we'll be talking about 2 additional episodes of Star Trek The Generation next.
Generation Next.
Nice.
Subsequent
Spice
generation.
Girls action.
Fuck yeah, dude. I love the Spice Girls, and I'm totally excited that you knew that was the Spice Girls.
Of course I know that's a Spice Girl.
Well,
Jake
I
knows
know.
every song.
I know. This is becoming clearer and clearer.
All right, so next week we will be talking about 2 episodes. The first, return of one of our beloved captain's lovers in Cupid. Also, Vash shows up. Followed by the Drumhead. Bum, 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 bum. Where we'll meet one of my evil admirals,
yeah.
Admiral Sati.
Oh, I have to reread your list now and see where she was.
Yeah, she was kind of high up there because she kind of sucks.
Yeah, dude, that bitch was cray, right?
Yeah,
We'll get to it next week.
Little JoJo McCarthy going on there.
Yeah.
But that's what we got. It's coming up next week, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, you can catch us online at Tumblr and Twitter, where our name is SSHB Podcast. You can also find our internet on Facebook. Just search for Star to Steer Her by Podcast by us. And then make sure you listen to our podcast on SoundCloud and subscribe or I should say, because
Do both.
you could do both. But
Yeah, why
there's no-
not?
If you're going to listen on
Listen to
SoundCloud,
it
there's
twice.
no
What
reason
if
to
you
listen.
don't
to
Once on
us.
SoundCloud, once on
Either
the other
way,
one.
you can subscribe to us. And I did find this out recently on Apple Podcast. They don't even call it iTunes. It's just Apple iTunes Podcast now.
Oh yeah, they changed the
It's
brand.
just Apple Pods.
Yeah.
And then
Pods.
you can find us on Google Podcast.
What
as
are they
well.
called?
It's Google. Alphabet Soup. Their parent company's called Alphabet.
Oh,
There's a parent
is
company
that
of
why?
Google?
Is that why?
They created it for legal and business reasons.
Google
with the-
created its own parents.
Yeah.
Is that why?
What?
Like
Yeah.
gingerbread and nougat, and that's why it's all.
Ooh, I want
Well,
some
that's
gingerbread.
just-
No,
That's
Alphabet
Android.
came later
Yeah.
after they'd already been
They
doing that.
were Google, and then I think they wanted to. I don't know.
Yeah, for business reasons, they created the umbrella company.
That's
Oh, okay. I'm
hilarious.
sure that there's nothing to
Yeah.
worry about there at all.
Sure.
There is so much to worry about.
So yeah, you can find us on Alphabet Google's podcast. Alphabet's Google podcast.
Animalcrackersinmysoup.com.
That's the one. So we are Star Trek Steer Her by a Star Steer by pod shit.
Shark to smear by.
I'm gonna take that again. We are
Just that, though.
we are a starship to steer ship. We are talking about Star Trek: The Next Generation on a Star to Steer Her by the Star Trek podcast. My name is Jake,
This has been Chris.
This has been Ames.
And this is always Caitlin.
and that
You don't have to come up with an end line.
I
Jake.
sure do. Bye.
Aw.
Aw, nice. That was a byline. Good one. So I haven't been able to find anything about Dwight
Oh my
Schultz's
God.
penis. But I found something titled My Life Undercover in Hollywood's Right-Wing Underground from Alternet. And I don't have the whole sentence or the whole paragraph, and when I click on it, it doesn't actually show me an article, but like one of the previews says, still, it was worth it to hear the phrase, nice penis bio. Or Baio. Sorry, Scott Baio. Is that his name?
Baio, yeah.
Nice penis Baio.
Scott Baio has a nice penis.
Apparently.
What are you going to do about it?
Great.
So,
Glad we know.
yes, half the battle.
Are you? Because that didn't help me at all.
That didn't get you there?
No.
Sorry, Caitlin.
It's cool. Oh no, cups and downs. Oh no, tons and tons of websites about poultry because I asked how big his cock is.